Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing great this Sunday. So, quick hello to Phil and Skippy who have joined us from the Runejammer side of things. And hi to everyone at home. So, hi Charlene, hi Mia Geeked, hi Questboard Terrain, and hi Campaign Terrain. Great to see you all. So, Phil and Skippy, would you like to start by telling us a bit about yourselves before we start talking about Runejammer?
You want to go first, Skip, or you want me to? Guess we should have
Go
figured that
for
out.
it. Let's do it alphabetically.
So, I'm Phil. There's a little bit of a delay in the video, so if you ask me a question, it'll probably be like 2 seconds late. Uh, I started role playing 2014. Cut my teeth on Rollmaster and then Hero System. Didn't touch D&D until 2018. And I DM'd my first game like 2 weeks ago. So yeah. As you can see, most of my role playing is other systems. Um, I do IT. I love to read and role play, writes all sorts of stuff, and make my friends happy.
Yeah, that is a really fantastic looking collection over there. Hopefully, we can
Yeah.
show them off a bit more later.
Hi, I'm Scott. Go by Skippy. I have been playing role playing games since the late 70s, early 80s, a very long time. I've played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, Star Frontiers, Gamma World, Shadowrun. Took a little bit of a break. I found Index Card RPG and fell in love with it all over, with role playing all over again. And I've been doing Runejammer inspired games for the last 4 or 5 years now, I think it is. I forget exactly when I found Index Card RPG, but I've been playing a lot of that, playing Viking Death Squad, Crown and Skull, the newest release, a little bit of everything. In my day job, I'm a site reliability engineer. And like Phil, I like to read and goof off.
Sounds good. That does sound good. So, would you like to tell us about Runejammer, like what it is, how it got started?
So, from my perspective, Runejammer is kind of a nebulous thought that the Merlotron, who's in Runehammer Discord, he said, "Let's do a Shadow Dark game jam, but Runehammer." And a bunch of us were like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then we wrangled a bunch of cats, and then we got him to actually run games, and then Runejammer became a thing, and no small part due to Chris, or I think it's BGD is his
Yep,
YouTube
yep.
name, and then Skip, Andrew, or S5 Photog, Kane Driscoll, all these guys, and they just kind of blew it out of the water and did a phenomenal job. Skip has all sorts of way more tech knowledge than I do, and he was able to provide some fantastic services and abilities, and yeah.
Yeah, Phil nailed it. It was really the Runehammer Discord, if you're not in there, is a great place to get all sorts of creative ideas and energy and juice for your gaming. And it was observed like, hey, we've got all this energy, and there's a core group of people in that Discord that all have their own little circle of games, and we talk on a regular basis about how awesome the games are. And Phil, during the Shadow Dark game jam, was like, yeah, why don't we get more games going? And so it was really an effort to rope more people into the Runehammer way of playing games, role playing games. And if you've listened to Hank from Runehammer, play D&D like a big old badass, that was a lot of the motivation. Like, hey, we have a lot of fun. Let's spread the word. Let's get folks out there. Let's break the stranglehold that Wizards of the Coast has on the notion of role playing games, and get some folks to try this and get some energy and some juice around how much fun it can be. And it was a huge success. There was an obvious appetite for it. People wanted to participate. People wanted to run games, and so we came up with a clever name for it, and off to the races.
And I don't remember the exact amount of numbers of like players we had versus the sessions ran and how many unique versus repeats and stuff, but we had well over 70, at least 70 unique participants, 120 repeat, like not repeats, but like people who participated and over 50 sessions. So we just, for a community effort that was unpaid and just a lot of passion, a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I only managed to join one game in in the 2023 one because of the scheduling and stuff. Being on the other side of the world from everyone else does make it a bit messy. But yeah, I mean, it looked spectacularly organized. And I did drop a link to the Index Card RPG Discord in the chat, so if anyone wants to head over there, they can find it. And yeah, Chris was in fact one of the people who first let us know about Runejammer because, hey, this thing is happening, this thing is happening. Yeah.
You raise a really good point, Karl, that this is a global community of players and GMs. The role playing bug is a global thing. And we definitely want to get more European and Asian participants. If you are watching and you want to run a game, sign up, express your interest. We want to run games around the clock so that it's convenient. That was one of the important things, is that we wanted this to be available and convenient for everybody, not that you have to play on Eastern Standard Time.
And there should be a GM sign up link if you want to sign up to be a GM, and then pitch the games you want to run and get you put on the sign up board. Yeah, I took 2-3 days off just so I could run games in the morning for European or early morning risers, and then games throughout the day for people who just had different time schedules.
Nice. Okay, that's going to take a lot of coffee. Let me just drop the link to Runejammer over here. There we go. Okay. Oh, and before I forget, if anyone has any graphs they want to show into the community showcase later, I'm just going to drop the link for that as well. Okay. There we go. So, regarding last year's Runejammer, was there any any problems that you ran into, or any happy accidents that oh, this worked much better than we thought it would?
I don't think we had any problems. I mean, there's always with an ad hoc online setup, there's always going to be some level of technical challenges. The scheduling for getting people to sign up worked really, really great for those of us who understood it. But if you were coming in without having been part of any of the discussions about why we did it the way we did with a Discord bot, it was a little bit more friction than I think most people were prepared for. And we had to do a lot of guiding and coaching to get folks over to the right sessions, the right places, get in the Discord channels, find the links that they needed. That was a little bit frustrating. I don't know that we're going to do much better this year. We're going to try. We're going to try to do better. But the reality is this is a lot to, like, running a week-long event with many sessions. There's not a lot of good systems out there to make this easy to do,
And the
unless
ones
you're willing to pay lots of money.
Yeah, and the ones that are free, they are heavily geared towards the big name heavy gorillas of the industry too. So like we couldn't just enter in Index Card RPG. You had to either submit the game or have it be public enough that it would just make it in by osmosis.
I get you. So yeah, because it does sound like something that it's almost like signing up for a school curriculum or something like that. Yet I want to take this elective and this elective.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be a
Yeah,
nightmare to
we
organize.
used a Google Calendar, a shared Google Calendar, to post all of the events, but that defaulted to US Central Time, and folks had to do the manual calculations to convert for their time zones, which again is just more friction than we wanted. We're going to try to use a better calendaring scheduling system this year, give it a shot with ideally with an actual list of events, and people can sign up and we can have wait lists for those events so that if someone doesn't show up, we know immediately who the next person to join that session would be. We're going to give it a shot. I'm sure there will be friction. Again, this is a science that is hard to do. There's whole industries around event management, event organization. So we're going to do our best on our shoestring budget with a bunch of nerds with a passion for this, without it being our full-time jobs. You asked a good question though about happy accidents or surprise learnings. I don't know that I had one of those, other than just the joy the enthusiasm from the players in playing these games. We had a bunch of new players, and I don't recall, Phil, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we had any strong negative feedback like that was a waste of time, that was dumb, I didn't like it. I think everybody had a really good time, and I think
We
that
had
said a lot.
we had people who knew the GM who kind of heckled them, but beyond that, no, I don't think anybody was like, "This sucks" or "You're terrible." It was all, "Hey, this is what I liked. Maybe do this, do that." A lot of constructive feedback and stuff, because in the end, we're all adults and we need to play nice together and stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool. And with regards to the events themselves, they take place in Discord voice channels, yeah? And
Mhm.
it's mainly over ICVTT, yeah?
We're not prescriptive around what virtual tabletop you use.
Mm-hmm.
So folks can use Roll20, they can use Owlbear, they could use Tablecloth, Foundry, whatever you want to use. What we want is ideally the kind of the driving motivator here is we want the players to have a good experience. And for the players to have a good experience, the GM should be familiar and comfortable with their tool.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we don't want a GM to scramble and struggle with a system or an online tool that they've never used before, because that would degrade the player experience. So we want you to use the tool that you know how to make sing and work really well for you to put on the game that you want to put on. And then the only real common denominator is Discord voice. And it's most of the games should be cameras optional. I don't think we're requiring it would be as a organizing committee, as an event, we're not going to require anybody to be on camera. And I don't think any of the GMs strongly encouraged it either. It's really audio only.
Yep.
Yeah.
The games I ran, I had maybe 3 people to turn on their cameras, and then I recorded it and posted it to YouTube. I didn't do any streaming, but we don't no one's really being forced to do that. And I checked to make sure beforehand, are you okay with this? And got verbal agreements.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. At the end of the day, it's the only thing that video is doing at that point is taking up bandwidth.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's on the issue of streaming. Again, if folks consent, sure, go for it. Rock out and have a good time. We don't want to be prescriptive around how you do that. There is kind of a shared belief in the Runejammer community that playing a game that is observed by people who aren't playing the game changes the way you play the game. Right. So you might be playing for the audience rather than playing for your peers at the table. And so we don't, I certainly don't, I don't stream anything. I wouldn't, even if I was a streamer, I don't think I would stream my games. Again, because it's a really subtle shift in how you play for most folks.
Yeah, I think I kind of get that. I think if we streamed our games, I think possibly there might be more sensible decisions happening. So, a lot less arson and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Chat 1 second. So, Miyagi is excited that someone else played Rollmaster. Dungeon Matron and Tuesday Collected joined us. Hope you're all doing okay. And Campaign Terrain is saying, we started playing around the same time. I thought I was the only ulcer. Yeah, Campaign Terrain has been at it for a few years as well. Okay, and hi Go For It Painting, hi Dirty Basement Terrain, and hi Loosely Collected. And Dungeons and Chronics. I think I got everyone. Okay, so let's see.
One of the things we're doing differently this year, Karl, last year we put a really strong focus on ICRPG, and we wanted to keep the focus of the games pretty tight around the index card ethos and the franchise. And this year we really want to expand into more of the Runejammer suite of games. We had Easy D6 on offer last year, which is published by Runejammer. This year, we really want to expand and allow and encourage, really, folks to play the gamut of Runejammer published games. So Index Card, Easy D6, XDZ, Bearcats, the new Crown and Skull, whatever you want to do. If you want to run one of those systems, one of those games, go for it, because there's a wealth of stories and to be told with all of these different systems, and we want folks to get a chance to dip their toes into one of these games that maybe they've had their eye on, but it's an investment to buy one of these books. And not everybody has disposable income to even to buy a PDF of a system they're not sure they're going to enjoy.
Yeah,
So one of
yes.
the drivers here is to make it easy to play, low friction, reduce the barrier, give it a shot. Like, oh yeah, I really want to try this Crown and Skull thing, and then you can find out, you know what, that's not for me. Okay, cool. Or
Yeah.
yeah, I'm all in. I'm going to buy the book. I'm going to go crazy.
Yeah, that's a good point because it's not even just a money investment. Because if you have to buy the book, read the book, set up the game, explain the rules to everyone else, it takes a lot of time. And rather than just, I'm going to have a 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour session, play with other people who will explain the rules to me, it makes it so much
Yep.
easier.
Hmm.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, so do you have any advice for people who would like to GM games in the event, apart from just signing up? I mean, that's step one. That's pretty important.
For me, I think the biggest thing will be bring that energy. Just one of the GM oaths, bring that energy, be the energy, and uh, your players will feed off of it and they'll have fun.
Yeah, 100%. That's the single most important thing, is to be an advocate and a cheerleader for the game you're running. We do not want people to run a system that they've never done before during Runejammer, because that's not going to be a fair experience to the players. We really want you to know the rules and be able to adjudicate at the table and be comfortable with making rulings and explain those and negotiate, the table experience without having to. There's always going to be a look up, like, oh, I got to let me look that up. Let me refer to that. What did you say you're doing? There's always going to be a little bit of that, but we want that to be done from a position of comfort rather than inexperience.
Yeah, I mean, I've got most experience with EZD6 and little bit with Index Card RPG, none at all with Crown and Skull. And at least those two are fairly light, so there isn't much, okay, yeah, I think that rule was on page 838, whatever. But still, it takes a bit of confidence to say, nope, that's how we're going to do it.
Yep.
So yeah, totally get that.
Yeah, it can be somewhat freeing in a one shot event with no real long term consequences. We're just we're playing this game today, and if I flub that rule, or if I get that wrong, or if I make a determination that, what, in this game I got it wrong, okay, moving on, no big deal, no penalty, because it's not going to carry over to future games,
Yeah,
right?
And then have the wherewithal, forethought, I don't know, post thought to go look it up, see if you did do it wrong, and then just do it better the next time.
Yeah, I mean, mistakes are part of the learning process.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, the other thing, and this is pretty common in the Runehammer community, but as a GM, for all the GMs in Runejammer, we want you to be an absolute cheerleader for your players. A lot of role-playing discussions, if you look on, Reddits and other places, there's a subtle implication of maybe GM versus players,
Oh
where
yeah,
I'm trying to get the players, or I'm going to win, or the players have to win against the GM. And there is a time and a place for some of that conflict and storytelling, for sure. But as a game, a shared game experience, we want the GMs to be real cheerleaders and champions for the players. We want you to celebrate all of their successes. We want you to lean on the rule of cool. If a player comes up with a really cool idea, don't shut them down just because you're not quite sure how to adjudicate it, or it maybe you weren't prepared for that outcome or that decision. The players are always going to do some zany thing that you're not prepared for. So you got to roll with that and celebrate. Like, yeah, that's an awesome idea. Heck yeah, let's do that. Let's try it. I don't know if it's going to work. Let's roll a d6 and find out. Right? Like open yourself up to that experience, rather than, no, this is the story as written, and we're going to stick exactly to this sequence of events. Because if you do that, you won't get to the ending that I had pre-planned. right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that Dan Masters mentioned, Professor Dungeon Master mentioned pretty often, like, don't be a novelist. Yeah.
Yep.
And there's a really good question here by Owen Winkler. For those of us who are more familiar with some of the more mainstream games like Dungeons and Dragons, can you speak about some of the games that Runejammer makes available and what they're like to play? So yeah, I think you get to do an elevator pitch for every single Runejammer game. Go.
So at least for index card RPG, like, oops,
Okay, let
dropping
me
all my
just.
stuff. Like this is the one that got me hooked on index card RPG because realistically, it was I get to use all my dice in like fifth edition, which is just D20 and a D6 because I like spears. Um, so I got to use all my dice, and the it uses a lot of the same language. The math isn't super complex. It's all addition, rollover, and then just assign hit points to challenges, and you're rolling damage against your challenge essentially, kind of. But that's called effort in the system. Um, I think that kind of speaks to your question. Um, there are there aren't gobs of rules that dictate how to do the thing. It's tell me how you plan on doing it, and then let's figure out what kind of effort that requires. Is that going to be a continuous thing, or is it a once and done kind of check? Um, and it's about communicating with your players to figure out exactly what they're doing instead of telling the system telling you what you're going to do.
Yeah. From my perspective, I would say the big thing for index card RPG is it streamlines a lot of the mechanical differences and it boils them down to buckets of at what at first feels like sameness. In index card RPG, by default, all weapons, all swords, broadsword, dagger, short sword, spear, pike, they all do d6 of damage. All magic by default does a d10 of damage. And people who are coming from a D&D world, like, that sucks. Why my broadsword should do 2d6, my bastard sword should have or my glaive should have reach, my spear should have reach. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there that index card smooths out over time, which you will find you if you embrace the system, it smooths things out, but it is a bit of friction. It is a bit unexpected at first. The other big thing is, because all weapons do d6 damage by default, the default hit points for many things is much, much lower. And if you look at D&D, you're getting HP bloat. When you look at hit point bloat, you're fighting a minotaur that's got, I don't know, 150 hit points, so some giant beefy guy. And it's just a matter of whittling it down over time. An index card RPG really uses defaults of 10 hit points, and a big beefy monster might only have 30 hit points or 20 hit points. And the variance, the danger of those big beefy monsters is that they get to do more actions per turn than you do. And so it's not just stand there, swing your sword, chip away at the big monster. Okay, the monster goes, he chips away at me. I chip away at the monster, back and forth. It really encourages this dynamic encounter space where you need to move around. You need to use the environment to your advantage. You need to do stuff that's not on the character sheet. Really, that's the biggest change, I think, is that you need to think beyond your character sheet. And you can certainly do that with any system. It's not a system constraint that drives these things. But when you really boil it down to I've got a +1 strength and a weapon that does d6 damage, it really focuses, it shifts the focus, in my experience, to the action and the storytelling and not the computations. It's the same output, the same end state. We're fighting a big bad monster. We're under duress. We're in danger, but it goes faster and it feels a little more creative, in my experience.
Yeah, the last point you mentioned is one of the particular things I like about index card RPG, because rather than having, okay, these are the 5 or 6 things that you can do in the game. Okay, there's none of that. It's like, okay, you can try pretty much anything, but yeah, varying degrees of probability, but you can try pretty much anything.
Yeah, things are
Yeah.
simplified, not flattened. Like other systems that I've seen where it's you do 1 damage, doesn't matter what kind of spell you did, it does 1 damage. This you still have variability, but it's streamlined. You know what you're rolling for what you're doing. Another thing is like, as Scott was saying, like it encourages mobility, encourages moving around. There's abilities to do it. You can even tell yourself that you're going to do it. Um, you can change, you can attack the difficulty class within like the encounter itself using certain gear abilities, or even just setting yourself up for what do I call it? Stacking the odds in your favor. If you can do that, the GM should reward you with some sort of lowered target number.
Yeah, there's a lot of mental unlocks in it for me when I embraced the system and really got into it at first. I was like, man, this is I don't get it. I'm not understanding it. But then you play a little while and you start to figure out, yeah. So one of the big things is as Phil just said, you have a target number for encounters. Individual monsters don't have hit armor class. All of the monsters in a scene use the same target number by default. You can twiddle that if you want to, you can change it, but the thinking there is that the encounter you are in, the space you're having this encounter in, is a challenge. And all of the things level up to create that challenge. So if there's a big necromancer casting a spell, an ancient ritual, and he's surrounded by a bunch of acolytes, the target number for the encounter might be 13, right? On a d20. You need to roll 13 or better with your bonuses to attack. And you might say to yourself, well, these mooks, these little acolytes, they're easy. They don't have any armor. They're wearing robes. Why is it a 13 to hit them? Why isn't it like a 9? Why aren't they easy to hit? Okay, maybe we can have that discussion. But also, again, it's the entire space that you're in. You hear the dark incantations of this necromancer. You are awash in foul energies. All of these things are creating this big, momentous, dynamic space that affect your ability to do the things that you want to do. And so hitting those mooks is hard because you're being confused. You're being set upon by all directions. You are overwhelmed with negative emotions. Maybe if you stop the incantations, if you attack and destroy that necromancer first, then maybe all those mooks are really easy to dispatch, right?
To draw a Fit 5e parallel, I would say that's kind of like if you can remove the layer actions or the regional effects, that makes things infinitely easier.
Yeah, it does make sense. Plus, again, going on both EC6 and Index Card RPG, I think it favors narrative gaming a lot more than number crunching. Like if you enjoy making spreadsheets with to-hit numbers and planning things out, yeah.
Done that.
So the other games in the Runejammer suite are Bearcats. There's a game called Bearcats,
Okay,
which is
tell me more about it. That sounds like Bearcat.
It's system neutral. Yeah, it's relatively it's not a system. It is a environment in which you can drop pretty much any system you want to play on. It's kind of a setting, a world setting.
And when Hank made that, he didn't give you specific numbers. He gave you like power percentages of like, well, within your system, they are 75% this powerful, or whatever.
Yeah, it's even more loosey goosey than Index Card RPG by default. That was my very first Runejammer game. I played online with some folks, and they used Index Card RPG mechanics with the Bearcats game framework. It's far future. Earth has been destroyed. You're on an asteroid or a little planetoid in a high school. It's the Bearcats is the school mascot.
Okay.
And you're being overrun by aliens. There's all these aliens that are attacking and overwhelming the high school, the environment. And the character creation is super fast. The weapons are very thematic and easy to play. It's a lot of fun. The other games are XDZ, which is Xeno Dead Zone, which really plays more like a board game by default, with some role playing mechanics. It's pretty fun. Dynamic map generation. You got a squad of Marines. It's basically aliens. You're playing aliens with some colonial Marines fighting against xenomorphs. The odds are stacked against you. It's really hard to win. Yeah.
Yeah, I played that as a board game one day after work. and man, it was brutal. And we essentially had to house rule a little bit, like, oh, we get 4 Marines or whatever or 6 Marines instead of 4, and then changing the frequency of the events and stuff, and we still got our butts kicked. And yeah,
The way it should be.
Okay,
The
so
other big game in the ICRPG venue would be Altered State, which is the cyberpunk Shadowrun version of Index Card RPG. It's the same core mechanics of D20 rollover. It's part of the Cypunk anthology. That book has Xeno Dead Zone, Bearcats, and in Altered State in it. Altered State gives you deckers and psionics and all sorts of great modifications to bodies. It's a little altered carbon vibe with skins. You can change your stack to move your stack to a different skin. If you're familiar with altered carbon, it's super fun. It's one of my favorite variants of index card RPG.
okay. So I know there's also Viking Death Squad, if I remember correctly. And what else?
Go ahead, Phil. Have you played that one?
that one I've only soloed a little bit. I haven't delved too far into it, so I'm not going to be GMing it this year. Hopefully, get to experience it myself and do some actual group play with it, and get my feet more into it, because I think Hank's doing some stuff with that.
Ooh,
Yeah, I think V2 is coming soon. I believe. I don't know. I don't have any insider information, but I believe
I thought
that's
it
the
was
case.
a adventure or something. Somebody in the chat will probably know, but
Yeah, for sure.
just don't quote me on that. I don't need Hank yelling at me.
Well, Viking Death Squad is a very different set of mechanics than Index Card RPG. It's a dice pool system where by default you roll 3d6 to do things, and you can add and remove dice to your pool based on how hard it is or how easy it is. And one of the really clever mechanics in Viking Death Squad is that you can push your gear. So you've got a slug thrower, you've got a gun, a machine gun of some sort, and you're fighting against a really terrible foe, and you need that extra level of oomph to take your attacks over the edge to really put this person down, this monster down. You can push your gear to have it do things that it wouldn't normally be able to do, and there's no real guidance on that. It's really free form to the players. Like, hey, can I just hold the trigger down and overheat my gun and make this thing into like a short term like a rail gun because it's the shooting super hot slugs instead of normal. I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do that. Cool. And then your gun is ruined. You can't use it after that.
Yep,
Yeah, so there's all sorts of like it really encourages super creative play from the players. Like, oh, I'm gonna push my jump boots and turn them into short-term projectiles. I'm gonna take them off and use them to launch my boots at somebody. All sorts of cool stuff like that. And it's
crazy.
It's a very thematic world. It's very heavy metal. It's based on the Black Sabbath War Pigs song that was one of the primary drivers that was in Hank's brain while he was working on this. So it's far future. Earth has been scoured by these terrible Imperium monsters, and somewhere in their catacombs, their cryogenic tubes, they've got 12 immortal Vikings. And there are only ever 12 Vikings. And once those 12 are gone, there are never any more.
And that's that's essentially the game timer too. Because when you run out of Vikings, all hope's lost.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes. There's some interesting stuff in there. It's a very evocative, very fun system. It plays super fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, super fast.
I also see that on Phil's desk there's Crown and Skull, which is a absolutely beautiful book.
It's gorgeous. This is the gold edition. I shilled out extra moolah for this one, but pages are fantastic. I'm not gonna run this one yet, just because I need to get some group time underneath my belt with it. But I'm excited to try it out, and my friends are excited to try it out with me. There we go. I see my page over there. So yeah, nice. This is the gold edition. There's also the regular edition, which has turn the face over, and it's got the seven pointed skull. or 7-pointed compass, I think it's called, or 7-eyed compass. It's a compass of some sort. But I'm excited to try that one. It takes hit points out and uses something called attrition, which is unique. I haven't seen it anywhere. Maybe some parallels in something else where you take wounds, but this is you take damage and you strike gear or skills, and then as you lose your stuff, you eventually die because you're at heart attrition. You don't have any armor, so you just take it to the heart.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it's. Go ahead, Karl.
No, I was saying that's interesting because in most games, like when something is taking damage, mostly it's still operating at full capacity. It's just it's got a little more damage, it's a little more damage, but still 100% output. So that is a interesting way of doing it.
Yep.
Yeah, it really changes the nature of combat experiences. Because as you said, right, if you are down to one hit point in any other system, most other systems, you're still fully capable to deal all your damage, cast all your spells, run away, do all your skills and feats. The hit points don't usually demonstrably change your effectiveness. And in Crown and Skull, the more damage you take, the more attrition you suffer, the worse you become, and you are not able to do a good job. And so you need to really think differently about how you engage in these experiences. It's really interesting. Character builds are also very, it's a point buy system. You have you start with 50 hit point, or sorry, 50 hero points that you use to buy your character's abilities. And 50 points goes really fast.
Yeah,
there's a go ahead, Phil.
if you've played anything like Fantasy Hero Champions or GURPS or anything like that,
Oh yeah, I remember GURPS. Yeah.
inspiration totally in the point buy system, and then like into the Odd Karen and other things, inspiration for how the attacks and damage goes. Back to you, Scott. Sorry.
Yeah, it's the character build system. You can create like one really awesome character that does one thing really, really well. But then when you get attacked and you lose that one skill, you're a nobody, you're worthless. Or you could build a character that's kind of a master of none with lots of skills and equipment as kind of a buffer to protect you against those attacks. But again, you're not really good at anything. So it really forces character choice and player choice in what they want their character to be. And what I've seen in the games I've played is it really unlocks this really, really wonderful organic teamwork, because it's not like I'm the meat shield and I'm going to stand here and take the hits and you're going to cast your spells. We all have to support and complement it up. And it's really it's a different way of thinking. I found it very disheartening at first, to be candid. Like I did not enjoy like my first couple games. Like, man, this sucks. My character's trash. I can't do anything. And then I started to figure out like, oh yeah, that's kind of by design. I'm a level 1 adventurer. I'm not good. The world is more strong than me. I am outnumbered, outclassed by most things. I need to work as a team with my party, rather than I'm going to run forward and attack and then fall back and down a healing potion and then run back in and fight. It really changes the nature of the experience.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it does sound like a lot of fun. So we have a comment from Dungeon Patron here saying, Easy 6 is a game system that a total new BRPG player can play. I love it for being less rules chunky.
Yeah, even compared to like Tiny D6, Easy D6 is way easier than Tiny D6.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of that for the last couple of years, and I'm just really enjoying it. It's like anyone can pick it up in seconds and just run with it.
Yeah, a huge shout out to DM Scotty for putting that together and building that and releasing that system. It really focuses on the fun, sometimes the zany, and the system. Again, as we've kind of alluded to for some of these things, the system isn't the most important part of any game experience, right? It's the camaraderie at the table, the story that's unfolding. If the rules get in the way, if they slow down the vibe and the energy, that's not what most people actually want in my experience. So let's stay focused in the moment. Let's remove things that slow us down and just roll dice and have some fun with some random variability and keep the story moving.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Easy 6, Wasted World should be coming out in the next few, I'm hoping days, but it might probably be weeks. But in 2 weeks, we have the post-apocalyptic terrain challenge with DM Scott here. So if anyone wants
Nice.
to put up any post-apocalyptic terrain later, it's coming up.
Also, I'm sure your fans and subscribers already know about the four horsemen that you created.
They might. I mean, I've only been talking about it for almost a year. Yeah, I think I have a copy here. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a it's a great book. I enjoy reading the history timelines, and I enjoy just reading through the system. I have yet to convince my friends to play it, so I can't speak to actually the gameplay for it. But I've played other Easy D6 games, and it's super fun.
Yeah, I mean, there is one thing that changes the game considerably, and that's the stress system. So in Easy 6, normally you get karma points, and like if you're trying to do something and you're just missed the target number by 1 or 2, you can feed karma into it, and if you fail, then you gain karma. Now, the way stress works, and stress is also a system that DM Scotty came up with, but he uses it mostly for horror games. The way that works is you can influence the dice by taking a point of stress. You can turn a miss into a hit, but as soon as you stack up too much karma, you lose a strike. And mostly in Easy 6, you only have 3 strikes to begin with, so it's a very risky strategy. And I know that changes the style of play completely.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed. It's not. This isn't unique to Runehammer or the Runehammer community, but it's certainly what's exposed me to all of these great little tweaks and adjustments to the mechanics of role playing and what unlocks different capacity, different abilities, different ways of attacking the issue of telling a story, empowering players to do cool stuff with consequences rather than leave it all up to the fate of the dice. Like, we're heroes. We want to win. We want to have a little chance. We want to be a little bit better than the common person off the street. But that doesn't come for free. And again, there's all sorts of cool ways to make that happen. And what I've seen with a lot of these indie developers and the creative space here in this role playing generally is the characters are much more rich and developed through an organic experience process. When I look at D&D, level 1 characters have their entire arc planned out because at level 3 I'm going to take this, and level 5 I'm going to take that, and level 7 I'm going to take this, and that's cool. That gives you something to look forward to. But what if you lose an arm along the way? Yeah. What if you lose an eye? What if you get some horrible scar that changes you? It changes your vibe, and kind of having that experience, that lived-inness to the characters is something that I find really fun. It's unexpected. It's unplanned.
I want to say that's called diegetic growth or narrative growth.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Growing through the scars and pains of life as you role play. Now, that's not everybody's flavor and stuff, so just be upfront.
I mean, to be honest, I'm not a great fan of leveling systems. I prefer either no advancement at all, or maybe the way that Call of Cthulhu does it, for example, where you get better at thing by doing that thing. Because leveling systems are a bit weird sometimes, because you can get better at playing the banjo by stabbing goblins, which
yeah.
You ever brained a goblin with your banjo before? It sounds hilarious.
That brings up another point we didn't really talk on with ICRPG specifically, but really with a lot of the Runehammer games particularly, is that advancement is often through loot and through stuff you acquire. So you get better gear that unlocks better stuff, better capabilities and opportunities for you. And when you tire of that, you can swap it out and get different gear. And it also is a risk that that gear can get stolen, it can get destroyed through no fault of your own, like all sorts of things. Again, that changes the character vibe really, really quickly in really fun, subtle ways. Um, yeah,
And
I'm with you on Karl. I'm not particularly keen on leveling systems because then people are tracking, oh man, if I kill these two more guys, I'll level up, right? As opposed to the best thing to do right now is to run away.
Yeah,
But I'm going to stay here and kill these guys just in case I get those extra experience points and I can level up.
so, oh, okay. We have a question from Owen Winkler. What are you each personally looking forward to from this year's Runejammer? That's another good question.
workshops. I want to see workshops. I want
Oh,
people
tell me more.
bestowing and sharing their experiences and knowledge of like, this is how I prep, or this is the kind of stuff I consume, or this is what I think about when I'm doing game preparation, or how this game went and how the reactions were. That's something that Hank does a lot in his videos. If you watch him, is like recaps. He doesn't do theory. He does what actually happened, and that's another big thing. I think Scott touched on this an hour ago. Is what happens to the table is important, not all the theory of like the 3d6 bell curve versus 2d6 flat 5%, whatever. Doesn't matter. Roll some dice, tell a story, and then we'll confer afterwards and see what actually happened.
Yeah. What I'm most looking forward to this year is probably I would love to see an influx of new players. I would love to see people who are maybe curious about other systems, but haven't had the time to invest or the community to support them on that. And get a handful of people in here to try a new thing. And if they hate it, that's okay, right? Cool. You tried a new thing. Great. Good for you. You've expanded your horizons and you refined what you like. Cool. And if you like this stuff, if you like the games that we're playing and the way these games play, even better. Take it forward and spread that energy with your friend group. Make new friends. Like that's one of the greatest things, really, realistically, about all of this for me is just the sheer awesome people I've met. The Runehammer community is super warm and welcoming. The very creative, very open, and enthusiastic about supporting one another. And I want more people to have that experience. I want to contribute to that.
Yeah, I can I can agree with that because yeah, I don't spend much time on the Index Card Community Discord because too many other Discords that I've been way too many Discords. But yeah, I mean, the second you drop in, it's like, yay, new person, here, have this stuff. Here's what I did. Here's more stuff.
Mhm.
It is very active, and there are some people who have some really great ideas.
And not to shill too much, but Hankerin as the creator is one of the most generous creators I've ever seen. He shares a ton of stuff from himself and from his ideas. He's not, I mean, obviously this is his livelihood and he's in it to make a buck, but he's not milking this with supplement after supplement after supplement. He's
No,
not
absolutely.
making and that's different than a lot of the commercialized gaming that we experience today. Um, and he could have taken a different path and maybe made more money. I don't know, but the community certainly would have had a very different vibe to it.
True story. Yeah.
What are you looking forward to, Karl?
To be honest, I don't know. I just want to get in, get some games in, and just have fun.
You gonna try and
What,
run a game? You gonna sign up?
Yeah, I have signed up already, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Chris was coming up with like, here's the link, sign up now, do it.
what games do you want to play?
I'm interested in trying Crown and Skull, and any index card or RPG or Easy D6 would be great. I mean, just I'm comfortable with both systems, so yeah, whatever people cook up with fun.
Cool.
Okay. Dungeon Matron is saying, I can't stop staring at Karl's microphone.
It is in the foreground.
Okay. Hounds and Jackals is saying, last Runejammer I got to play with Scotty in his Easy D6 and Easy Dead 6 and it was amazing. Ooh, yeah, Hounds and Jackals, Dr. Bruce is also the person who wrote Assignment Danger, spy supplement for Easy D6. And yeah, another person who should sign up to run some games because again, I played in some of his games and that was some good stuff.
Here's a question for the folks listening, if you don't mind, Karl. We've had some discussions in the planning committee here, the group, getting this stuff up, and it's always a balancing act, especially with random players you don't know. How many is not enough players, and how many is too many players at a game table?
Ooh,
And I'm
that is a good
curious what
question.
I'm curious what your thoughts are personally, Karl, but I also love to hear from the folks in the audience who are watching. How many other people do they find, like what's the sweet spot for number of players at a game table?
I mean, speaking for myself, if I'm set to run a game and there's only one person, I will run a game for that one person. It's how many is too many? I think five is about the maximum number of players I can handle.
Okay.
And possibly if it's five absolute beginners, maybe I can handle six absolute beginners.
Okay.
Three
That
people who
sounds
know
about
what they're
right.
doing. They're just be all over the place. And yes, we
Yeah.
would like to short out the nuke and beat the dragon over the head with a shoe. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that tracks about with what we've been discussing. But again, I'd love to hear from would-be players too.
Oh, interesting. I think most
Got a
people.
lot of 4 to
Yeah,
6s.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for the games that I ran, I pitched between 4 to 6. One of them I just had one player show up, and I was like, "Shoot, show me how you're gonna do it," and he did fantastic. He knocked it out of the park. Um, but yeah, like 4 to 6. If I'm gonna do a completely improv game, a little bit less of a group because then we're not having to do too much brain share. It's more eye contact, and I'm able to work better in that. But yeah.
Okay. Oh, this is interesting. GM plus four is ideal. Five if one of them is a bard. Why specifically? That's interesting. Hmm. Yeah, and regarding the number of players, I think it's the minimum number of players. I think it's also about if it's a campaign versus one-off. Because if it's a long-running story, then if you normally have four people and three of them are out, kind of okay. It's always that kind of thing about running other people's characters. That's like, I'm not totally comfortable with that.
Yep. Well, that
Sure.
might also be a good time to do like a one-on-one side mission or something like that too.
Yeah, good point. Okay, to tell the story. Sorry, the bard is to tell the story while the players act.
But no, to get a copy of Index Card RPG, since that's the main game that started this whole thing, it's actually really easy. This is one of the first editions, so it's the thinner version, but $16. Get it on drive through. I think Hank's even printing these now, isn't he, Scott?
I don't remember. If he does, it's only Master Edition.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, because he's starting to do his own publishing now. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that should be real good. Hopefully, because I've seen a lot of people having problems getting Easy Six and Index Card RPG, especially in South America and Europe. I think parts of Europe because
Yep.
the shipping is so expensive. So once you can get them to retail and go through Amazon, that's a whole new bunch of people coming in.
Yeah.
Okay, and yeah, Hounds and Jackals is saying the system is important. For example, in 5e, it takes 10,000 years per combat turn. In Easy D6, it takes 1 minute, even with 4 to 6 players. Yeah, good point, yeah.
Oh, that was another thing. I think he had. I think Hound and Jackal had asked earlier about what are things that 5e players could use or maybe find similarities, and the combat taking forever, the always initiative going around the table and stuff. I think that's another uh tip for 5e Pathfinder, any game system kind of just go around the table. If you don't like your initiative order, move to the other side of the table, and then
Yeah, yeah,
go around the table from there.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
no, no.
the
Please go.
the the index card RPG book is chock full of really, really great tips on how to run a game, regardless of the game you're using. You don't have to use any of the tips for index card RPG specifically. And there's a lot of conversation. There have been a lot of conversations about players or GMs rather who find index card and then silently start running it for their 5e games. They silently, translate the hit points. They'll throw the monsters out, and they'll just manage the math much quicker and faster with lower hit points, lower hit values. The initiative system is faster. The guidance is applicable to almost any game system,
Pretty
and it
much, yeah.
really will help you play a better game, in my experience.
I mean, the same can be said for the Runejammer channel because it's advice and advice and advice, and it's not just index card related. It's literally this is how we tell a story. This is how we play a game. This is how we do this thing. This is how we do this other thing. Super
Yep.
valuable. Plus, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, it's got the core rule book has about, I think, is it 3 or 4 different settings, like fantasy
Yes.
and
Yeah, so
sci-fi.
Master Edition has what we call the big five, Alfheim, Warp Shell, and then you get into Ghost Mountain, Superheroes Vigilante City, and Blood and Snow, which is the prehistoric setting. Superheroes, Weird West, kind of. It's a different take on Weird West. I think it's fun. And then your bog standard sci-fi, sci-fantasy kind of stuff, and then your fantasy.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Dirty Basement Rain is saying, I'm just looking forward to the retail version of EZD6 so that my local game store will actually carry it and allow me to run games in the store. That's
Yeah, that'd be
There
that's another point, yeah.
is a someone they're working on that on Runehammer getting into more game stores. I forget who, but there is someone you're supposed to email with your game store's contact information.
I
I'll
want to
see if I
say
can
that there's
find
like contact me on Runejammer.online. I think there's a contact me and it might send it to that person. And then that way you can give the contact details of your friendly local gaming store to that person, and they should be able to set up deals and stuff.
Oh, nice. Yep. So, Dirty Basement Rain, make it happen. Okay. Oh dear. And Dungeon Maiden is saying, I wonder what the side mission for a gong farmer would be.
A what farmer?
Gong farmer. Basically a dung collector. Okay. Yep. Yeah, when we were playtesting the Four Horsemen, Lisa joined us and gave her a list of what to say, 25 or 30 professions she could be. She picked something off the menu, and that was a dung collector, which was a lot of fun to play. I'll have to admit it.
Karl, I found that it's Jake at runehammer.online. So if folks want their local game stores to carry Runehammer content, have them email Jake at runehammer.online.
Okay, thanks for that. Yeah. Oh, that's going to be really interesting. Because it would be great to see these books getting actual shelf space because they're very strong online, but in places where it's not that easy to get them shipped over, it would really make a difference.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
So yeah, we're speaking about DM Scotty running games last year, and you're going to have people coming over like DM Scotty or anyone else.
We hope to have some celebrity GMs. I can't confirm or deny anybody at this time.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, it's early days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being this far out, it's hard to lock down people, and life happens. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you got a
like
ways
Scott
to
said.
go.
Okay. I had another question. Since it's online play and you're going to have people who have never met each other before and they're going to be playing games for the same time. Are there any safety tools that you suggest? Like, because I mean, I think most people are reasonable, but you might be sometimes, hey, I really don't want to hear about spiders, or I don't really don't want to, go beyond certain lines.
Yeah, that's a tough one because it's online and there's a lot of assumptions. We're doing our best to encourage maybe PG-13 as the default assumption for game content. We will certainly advocate and encourage GMs to coordinate with their players ahead of time about things that are off limits. We would hope that, at least I personally hope that no GM runs a super dark, horrific body horror game with lots of stuff that, again, PG-13, I guess, is really
Stay
the
within the
driver
bounds
there.
of good taste.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
Good taste is nebulous, though, unfortunately.
yeah,
And sometimes it can be fun to push the boundaries. It gets complicated. Obviously, yes, the GMs should work with their players to say, what are hard limits for you? We would also encourage players to be able to forthrightly say, like, yeah, you know what? I'm afraid of scarecrows. Let's not talk about scarecrows or whatever it is, right? Let's do that. Ultimately, if bad behavior does occur, we will do our best to step in and bad behavior beyond just maybe someone overstepping a content line. If someone's trolling or griefing, there's not a whole lot we can do during the moment. So unfortunately, like, it's on you as a player. If you don't like it, step out, just leave. It's not worth it, right? It's just a
yeah.
game. There will be other games, and I know it's a drag. You missed out, you had a bad vibe. But we hope that reflects only on that GM and not on the system and not on Runejammer. Is kind of the best we can do right now.
Yeah, I think that sounds fair. Yeah.
and we do have codes of conduct that we are going to be hopefully putting out and
Okay.
be accepting people that people would read and go, okay, that makes sense. Also a reporting line if things do go completely sideways. And yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Karl. Like, we assume most people are decent. We assume most folks are here to have a good time and have fun, within the understanding of, like, fun is the shared game experience. Fun is not me versus you in this game. Fun is not I win, you lose, or I'm going to make your experience terrible because I want to troll you and have fun and laugh. Ha ha ha. Like, we hope those folks don't show up, right? It's the best we can do. We'll do our best. And then we will be taking notes. We'll be soliciting feedback for things that didn't go well. And we'll do our best to learn and iterate from this for next time around.
I mean, that is the best you can do. Literally, it's just
Yeah.
watch out for it. You plan for it, which you clearly have, and then adjust from there. So that's real good. I was always going to say, just hopefully most people keep it common sense, but yeah, that's a kind of a stretch of an assumption.
Yeah.
Okay, and Hounds and Jackals is asking, hey, can I sign up to run a game?
Yes, you can. You have the link handy?
I do.
Phil, do you have the link handy? I don't think I
I do
do.
not have it handy. Let me get it for you.
We'll find it.
Okay, I don't think you'll be able to post in the YouTube chat, but if you send it to me on the Zoom chat, I can copy it over.
Yeah, that one. It's a Google form somewhere. We'll find it.
I sent it to Karl.
Okay,
Cool.
coming up. There we go. Another Batman quote, some men just want to watch the world burn. There's always the jerk in the crowd. Yeah, I mean, at least, there are some places that have a lot of those. Some people, some communities just tend to be, yeah, if most of the people are nice and take care of the whole community, then just get rid of the bad apples and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, the vibe at the Discord, the Runejammer community generally is we're here to have fun, we're here to tell good stories, we're here to support one another. It's not griefing, it's not edge lords, it's not people who are maybe there's some murder hoboing in context of a game, but most folks don't really enjoy that as a narrative element of a story. There's not a lot of interesting thematic developments from that sort of stuff. So yeah, those folks often self-select out of this community because that's not the vibe.
Makes sense. Okay, so oh yeah, will you be running games in the this year?
I will not be running as many games as I did, but I will be doing at least one game per night when I get back from vacation. So I'll be
Oh
missing
yeah, yeah.
inaugural night.
You mentioned earlier. So not spoilers. I mean, like any teasers?
Spoilers. I'm hoping to do a workshop where I do prep for one of my sessions that I will be running,
Oh,
and
all right.
I don't care if spoilers or whatnot, but I will be running Warp Shell using some of the log tables from the book itself. I will be running
You want
ha
to explain log table there, Phil?
Haunted Keep. Yes. So, I'm gonna use the fancy copy. That way we can market that stuff. Boom. Uh, Inside here in the GM section, there is something called a log table, which means location, obstacle, and goal.
Okay.
And location is where you're starting, goal is where you're going, and what stands in between you getting there. And then that's basically how you cook the rest of the session based off of that. There's tools in here to kind of get some plot nodes going so you feel prepared, but you don't need it. Then you get further in the back of the book where all the juicy tables are. Yes, tables. Like all the loot tables and stuff. The roll up a random hero. You could roll up a story, get all sorts of shabby loot, roll up some monsters, and have most of your tools to prepare whatever session you need.
All right. That sounds like a pretty solid scenario generator.
And then Easy D6, I was gonna pull something out of the book of quests. Like I think it was called the Haunted Keep. I don't have my
Oh, okay.
journal
That's
with
a good
me.
one. That is a good one.
And I want to do hard suit, although I'm gonna have to skip some of the discovery stuff because I've got so much time and we're not doing a prolonged campaign. So we're gonna shorten that up a little bit and get straight to the action.
Remind me, hard suit is the one with the mech-looking stuff, yeah?
Yes. Biomechanical mechs.
Dun, dun, dun.
I don't have a 3D printer, so I wasn't able to print any of my stuff. So it's all paper or token images.
I mean, that works.
I got lots of bookmarks.
Oh yeah, speaking of paper models, I saw the stuff that Kane on Kane Skill was making. They're surprisingly good looking for paper majors.
Yeah, like I don't know if I'm supposed to tell this, but the way he was doing it is he has a remarkable and he's drawn that out and he'll like take it and put it in Photoshop or whatever his tool is and then turn that into a digital format
All right.
and then extrude that into 3D images.
Oh, all right. It's a pretty neat workflow.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Scott? Are you going to be running any games?
Yeah, I'm going to run at least a couple of sessions of one of my favorite adventures called Orvold's Tower. It's it's a very classic Runehammer game adventure style, and it starts at the end. So the setup is your adventuring party has ascended the tower of the evil Orvold, some ancient wizard maligning the town and the hills around, and you've defeated him. The session opens with his defeat.
Okay.
You won. You beat him. Now you have to get out of the tower. And there is a world timer. You have 15 rounds to get out of the tower, and you don't really know how many floors tall it is. You've forgotten, the in his dying blow when you destroy him, he unleashes this terrible maelstrom that's going to wreck his own tower and destroy everything. And it takes from you some of your memories about how you got up there. So you're discovering anew on your journey down all of the stuff that's happening, and it's a really really fun time pressure because it's a hard to run, hard to win escape sequence because you are beset on each floor down with stuff that's slowing you down.
Of course, yeah.
And the natural inclination for every single player whenever I've done this is to stop and win the fight on the first level down, and you end up burning 4 or 5 rounds and you're like, oh man, I got 10 rounds to get out, we're in trouble.
Yeah,
And
this
it's just so fun to watch the players work through this realization and figure this out. It's a lot of fun.
I
yeah,
I forgot
it's
to
a
mention
different setup.
I'm
It's
doing a version of that called Orville Station, which is using the XDZ tile set and the whole concept with that. But same thing. You got in, did the mission. Now you're getting out.
oh, I mean, the whole premise sounds amazing. I mean, it's all right.
Yeah, it's a super fun one. I really enjoy it. Yeah, there's a definite win condition of the time. You have to get out before the time is up. So far, every game I've played, at least one player has gotten out. But I think, and then one game last year, I think they all got out. Yeah, they did. The whole party got out. But it's usually like a real nail biter down to the last round and working together and trying to figure out some of the puzzles, some of the scenarios that are occurring. It's a hoot. It really is one of my favorite sessions to run.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my usual party would try blowing out some of the walls at least, and just getting a rope down the side. But yeah, I mean,
You could certainly try.
okay. Yeah, Hans and Jackals is saying time. Everyone seems to be really like that idea, and Hans and Jackals is saying time pressure is one of the best factors to create stress in a good way. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, that's one of the very first things in the index card GM section is timers. You should have a visible timer during the encounters, and if you don't beat this monster, if you don't get out of this room, if you don't solve whatever this thing is, it's going to get worse in D4 turns or D4 rounds. And that you don't have to tell them what it is. You can if you want to. You can say reinforcements will arrive, or the ceiling's going to collapse, like whatever it is, or just something is going to happen in D4 rounds. To roll a D4, put that number out there for the party to see, like, oh wow, we've got to move. And it creates a lot of stress. And that was a huge unlock for me as a GM because players will hem and haw, players will stop and examine every single rock in a room. They'll look in every single book. And sure, that can be fun. There's a time and a place for that. But also, like, boy, I did not fully populate this bookcase with book titles for me to narrate to you. So something's going to happen in 2 rounds. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah, that's one of the. I had forgotten about it, but yeah, that is one of the things I like about the system because it just keeps you. It keeps this forward momentum.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so what do you guys say? At every stream we have this community showcase where people put in crafts and things they have built over the past week or so. So
Okay.
what do you guys say if we have a look at that?
Yeah, let's do it. That
Okay,
sounds great.
so let's get this going. One sec. Yep, that's it up. Boom, off we go. Okay, starting with dirty basement terrain, coming in strong. Okay, that's
That doesn't look dirty or basementy. Looks like good terrain.
yeah, he recently built this golem thing, which he's got going on here. Oh, two of them.
That's amazing.
Yeah, the textures are fantastic. That's some great work from learners from Dirty Basement Terrain. Oh,
That's pretty impressive.
okay, so next coming up is Earthman Brick with I think these are for his space game thingy, some kind of gate.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, like the transparent axis.
That's something that I'm trying to put into a setting that I'm creating.
Mhm.
Call them Aether Gates. Quickly get around the solar system.
Okay, and oh, nice. It's Hexmet.
Mm.
Very cool. Is it like is it a digital mat or is it you
No,
put
no,
the picture on and it has the
it's actually it's a physical mat. I think he cut those hexagons, glued them to something, and then painted
Oh
that
wow.
pattern on.
Huh.
Nice. It's a great nebula effect going on there. Oh, okay. And here's Tina Martins coming in with her
Wow.
update for of
Wow.
Hogwarts.
Wow.
That is impressive. Makes me think of the new Schwanstein Castle.
Yeah, I think we'll need a closer look at this one. 1 second. Where did I leave that? Hang on 1 second, please. There we go. Okay, it's I forgot what scale she was going for, but it is absolutely massive, and it's based on Hogwarts building from the Harry Potter movie.
That is astounding. Well done.
Okay, and we have some more details as well. Okay, and yes, some of those, I think most of these are scribed on, but there are some places where she used individual bricks.
I
Wow.
love the greenhouses just because it's like accurately missing the different little bits and pieces that were actually in those greenhouses. I haven't watched the movies 1,000 times, so I wouldn't know, you know.
Oh, and this thing is absolutely massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I forgot what the scale is, but it's just enormous. I think we need a banana for scale or something.
Looking at some of the other stuff he's got in the back on his windowsill, it's pretty cool stuff.
Oh yeah, these buildings. Yeah, yeah. Tina
That is beautiful.
is an amazing crafter. Okay. Oh, okay. So dirty basement lane coming in with more crystal golems.
That's not 3D printed. That's like
It's
clay molded and
XPS foam. It's curved XPS foam.
okay.
I think you can see the just a bit of hot glue over here. But yeah, that's
Mhm.
all XPS foam.
Wow.
Okay, these are going to look shiny. And okay, so and Mia Geek has been working on her post-apocalyptic town. So let's bring those up. Oh, these are looking good.
Oh, nice. Well, shanty town.
Yeah, looks great with all
Those are
the
great.
layers and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I'm guessing that she's prepping these for the post-apocalyptic challenge, which we're having on the 24th of this month. So it's in a couple of weeks. There
That's cool.
Wow.
Nice. So let's see if there's anything else. No, I think that's the end of it. So yeah, thanks everybody for sending your stuff in. This was great work. Okay, gents. So do you have any last things to tell the folks? Like sign up for Runejammer or stuff like that.
I mean, Karl said it.
Signups aren't
Yeah.
open yet.
When they do open, I would say hop on the ICRPG community chat or Discord, and you'll see a Runejammer news channel there. I don't have a huge social media presence, so you won't see me tweeting or whatever it's called, Xing. I don't know. I don't do that stuff, so new Runejammer on Discord or the RJ News on the Discord group would be where you'd see most of that stuff. Yeah, once we get GM signups done, and then we'll open up player signups, and then we'll kick off ceremonies, which we may have a special speaker, so look out for that.
All right. Oh, intriguing.
Tease. Yeah. Yeah. What Phil said, keep an eye on the Discord, watch runejammer.com. So the rough timeline here is we're going to solicit GM interest, basically signing up to say, yes, I want to participate. When we get some of those, after some period of time, we would then have a follow-up from those GMs saying, these are the games I actually want to run, and ideally at these times. And then from that, we would build a schedule, and we can have as many games running at the same time as possible. We're not constrained by rooms or physical locations here. So really sign up for as much as you want to run. The more, the better. And we really want to cover time zones, and we'd love to have games running all day, every day across the globe. So when we get the games identified, and we're still working on a standard, template of this game, this system, this is the title, this is what to expect, this is maybe the content included, so folks can navigate some of that stuff pretty quickly without a whole lot of back and forth. When we get that, then we would open up the schedules, and people can register and sign up. You will have to register to a website, a third-party website, so we can record headcount, and that will also track our wait lists. So if participants say they want to show up and play, but then they never do, we would contact the folks in order on a wait list to say, hey, great, you're in. So the event is in late July. So we hope to have the schedule. I forget, Phil, do you remember? I think we want to have the schedule obviously by June.
At least 3 to 5 weeks before we start. So
Nice.
we're not telling you have to sacrifice your vacation time to hang out.
We want to give plenty of time for folks to see what the schedule is and clear their calendars or adjust as needed for whatever's happening. And again, we hope to have enough games running at all times that you don't have to sacrifice your original schedule or cancel events that you might have had because you can play in the morning or in the afternoon or something.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, then Jabate is asking, will any of the games be live streamed? I think you touched on that earlier in the stream.
Yeah, that'll be up to player consent, GM comfort, and then just if everybody's up for it. We're not doing anything by default, so it's up to per game situation.
Yep.
Okay, so Scott, Phil, thank you so much for this. This was a lot of fun talking to you. And I'll just remind everyone that our next stream will be on Saturday, not on Sunday. And that, we're having Jack Cleveland over to show us his work. So once again, Phil, Scott, thank you so much for this, and I'll be looking forward to joining you at the Runejammer.
Thanks, Karl.
Thank you, Karl. Thanks, Skip. Thank you, Skip and Scott.
Good job, Phil.
Okay, see you around, guys, and have a lovely week. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.